Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into the decrees in Lost in Random, the Eternal Die. There are more than 30 of them total, and they can seriously shape how your run plays out. To make sense of it all, I've broken them down into 4 categories. Decrees that affect Aleksandra's health. Decrees that buff enemies. Decrees that impact shielded foes. And finally, environmental decrees that change how dangerous each biome becomes. Whether you're going in with a crit build, poison combo, or dice-heavy setup, knowing how these decrees work and which ones to avoid can make all the difference. Let's break them down. First up, we have Demise, a decree that reduces Aleksandra's revives by 1. This one's an absolute must-avoid. Losing a revive means you've got less room for mistakes, especially in the later levels where bosses like the Mayor can easily burn through a life. Unless you're doing a challenge run, there's really no upside. Skip it every time. Next is Dilution, which reduces all healing received. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this one. Healing becomes absolutely essential in levels 3 and 4, especially when fights get longer and more punishing. Avoid it if you can. It's not worth the long-term risk. Next up are Agony and Torment, 2 decrees that slowly chip away at Aleksandra's health during combat. And honestly, these are both avoid if you can picks. If you're forced to choose between the two, pick based on your build. If you're good at clearing rooms fast, Agony is safer. If you struggle with bosses or mini-bosses, Torment might be the lesser evil. Either way, both can snowball into a problem if your healing is limited. The next 3 health-related decrees are actually fairly manageable, definitely more acceptable. These are the ones I consider picking if you're forced to take something from this category, especially if you've got decent healing or survivability built into your run. And there you go. Decrees affecting health. First up in this category are decrees that increase enemy damage. I would definitely avoid the first 2. Those flat damage buffs can really spike the difficulty fast. But if you have no choice, Precision is probably the least evil one to take. The next 2 decrees basically buff enemy health, making fights drag on longer than they should. I'd recommend avoiding both, especially since longer fights mean more chances to take damage. Shielded enemies, in particular, can become a real problem, especially when paired with decrees that specifically buff shielded foes. It can snowball fast. These last 2 are actually okay to take. Just stay sharp and don't get greedy. There are lots of decrees that weaken your damage or crowd control against shielded enemies. But the good news is, you're likely not using all those damage types anyway. So if a decree affects something outside your build, it's usually safe to take. Next are the decrees that increase the damage or crowd control coming from shielded enemies. And these are definitely ones I'd avoid if you can. Shielded foes are already tougher to deal with, and giving them more power just adds unnecessary risk. Last up are the environmental decrees. These make specific zones in your run a lot more dangerous. Sluder makes Shufflewood Swamp more lethal. Enemies hit harder, and traps can punish mistakes. Frostbite turns Pawnbury into a more hostile zone with faster, more aggressive enemies. Shadowplay makes the Darkmension even more unforgiving. Enemies can gain extra shields, and fights get noticeably tougher. Personally, I might consider Sluder if I'm feeling confident, but I usually avoid Frostbite and Shadowplay. Those zones are already hard enough without a decree making them worse. And here's a quick summary of all the decrees we covered. Some are clear must-avoids, while others can actually work in your favor, if they don't interfere with your build. Which decrees do you always pick or skip? Let me know in the comments. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next build or strategy guide. Thanks for watching, and good luck in the dice realm.